Hello and welcome, dedicated English learners, to our advanced conversational space. You are listening to the podcast designed to elevate your fluency, expand your sophisticated vocabulary, and help you think critically in English. I am your host, Caspian.
And I am Alara. We are thrilled you have joined us today. Before we dive into our rich discussion, we want to acknowledge you. We know you are busy, yet you chose to invest this time in your linguistic development, and that in itself is a powerful habit. Today, we are exploring a topic that forms the invisible architecture of our lives: daily routines.
Indeed. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning to the moment we surrender to sleep at night, we are guided by a series of micro-habits and rituals. But we are not just going to describe a routine today. We are going to dissect the psychology behind it, understand why some routines stick and others crumble, and provide you with the advanced vocabulary to articulate your own schedule with precision. By the end of this episode, you will not only learn about routines, but also acquire a sophisticated lexicon to discuss them.
I love that holistic approach. So let's start at the very beginning of the day. Caspian, how does a typical morning unfold for you? And more importantly, why do you do what you do?
Well, Alara, my morning begins early, around 6:30 a.m. But the first action is not jumping out of bed. It is a moment of deliberate stillness. I practice a brief grounding exercise, simply focusing on my breath for a minute or two. This serves as a cognitive buffer. It prevents me from immediately reacting to the external world and allows me to ease into the day with intention rather than anxiety.
That is quite sophisticated. It reminds me of the concept of the cortisol awakening response. The body naturally releases a surge of cortisol to wake you up. If you immediately inundate yourself with notifications, you spike that stress hormone unnecessarily. By contrast, you're managing that physiological response. My morning starts similarly, but with hydration. I drink a full glass of room temperature water as soon as I'm upright. Overnight, your body is in a state of mild dehydration. Rehydrating immediately jump-starts your metabolism and clears the mental fog.
That is an excellent practice. Following my brief mindfulness session, I proceed to the bathroom for the fundamental hygiene rituals, brushing my teeth and washing my face. It's not just about hygiene, it's a sensory signal. The cool water on the face serves as a tactile anchor that shifts your brain from sleep mode to wakefulness.
And after that necessary reset, we move to nutrition. I prefer a light, functional breakfast. Oatmeal with berries or occasionally scrambled eggs with spinach. It's about stable blood sugar. A heavy carb-loaded breakfast, like sugary cereal, leads to a dramatic glucose spike, followed by a debilitating crash mid-morning, which is a productivity assassin.
You are highlighting the importance of nutritional intelligence. I follow a similar principle. I usually opt for a protein-rich meal, like Greek yogurt with nuts and a drizzle of honey. It provides sustained energy. After I consume that, I review my to-do list. But I don't merely glance at it. I prioritize using the Eisenhower matrix, categorizing tasks by urgency and importance. This is the foundation of strategic planning.
That's the golden rule of time management. Without that clarity, you're simply reacting to the loudest noise in the room. With it, you're executing a strategy. So by 7:30 a.m., we're both hydrated, nourished, and strategically aligned. Now let's pivot to the afternoon, which is notoriously the most treacherous segment of the day for many.
I completely agree. The afternoon is where momentum often plateaus. For me, afternoons are dedicated to high cognitive load tasks. After a morning of meetings, I reserve the post-lunch hours for deep, concentrated work. However, I am acutely aware of the postprandial dip, that natural biological drop in energy that occurs about 90 minutes after eating.
That is a fascinating term. The postprandial dip is your body's way of diverting blood flow to your digestive system. To mitigate this, I always ensure my lunch is light. If I eat a massive, oily lunch, I'll be lethargic and sluggish, that terrible feeling of cognitive inertia. I usually have a quinoa salad with a lean protein like chicken or tofu. It's nutrient-dense but not heavy.
Yes, dietary awareness is crucial, and it's precisely during this afternoon slump that we must resist the urge to default to mindless distraction. When you feel that dip, the worst thing you can do is scroll through social media for a quick brain break. That actually depletes your cognitive reserves further. Instead, I incorporate micro breaks. Every 50 minutes, I stand up, stretch my limbs, or step outside for a minute to get natural sunlight. This is a powerful way to reset your ultradian rhythms, the natural cycles of focus your brain operates on.
That's brilliant advice. I follow a similar Pomodoro-inspired approach. I also use that break time to regroup, to mentally reassess what I've achieved and what requires attention next. This constant recalibration prevents the afternoon from becoming a chaotic scramble. Let me ask you, Caspian, how do you handle the inevitable interruptions?
That's the ultimate challenge. I practice what I call time blocking. I physically block out segments of my calendar as non-negotiable focus zones. During these periods, all notifications are switched off and I don't check my email. This protects my peak cognitive hours from the attention vampires of the digital world.
I'm stealing that term, attention vampires. So essentially, the afternoon is about maintaining discipline, managing your energy, and protecting your focus. Now, as the sun begins to set, we transition to the final act of the day, the evening. How do you move from the high-octane environment of work to tranquility?
This is where we must consciously de-escalate. I have a strict ritual that begins around 7 p.m. I prepare a wholesome yet light dinner, often grilled fish with roasted vegetables. Eating early is vital because it allows your body to properly digest before you attempt to sleep. Once dinner is consumed, the real unwinding begins.
I agree. The evening is the time for restorative behaviors. I physically remove myself from my workspace. I go for a brief, slow-paced walk or practice some deep breathing exercises. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state. It lowers the heart rate and signals to the brain that the day's battle is over.
And then there is the ritual of hygiene reset. Brushing my teeth and washing my face isn't just about cleanliness. It is a behavioral anchor. It tells my brain the performance is over. It's like pressing the reset button on the day.
That is a wonderful metaphor. After that, I curate a digital sunset. I eliminate all blue light from screens at least 90 minutes before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin production, the hormone that regulates sleep. Instead, I read a physical book or listen to soothing instrumental music. This prepares the mind for a state of deep relaxation.
And we must not underestimate the power of consistency. I aim for a fixed bedtime around 10:30 p.m. This anchors your circadian rhythm. The more consistent you are, the easier it is to fall asleep and wake up naturally. It removes the friction from the process.
That wraps up the practical journey, but let's stop here and reinforce this with a deep dive into our advanced lexicon. We have woven a rich tapestry of words today, and we want to ensure you can wield them confidently.
An excellent idea, Alara. Let's break down the power words. First, we have deliberate. Deliberate means intentional, done on purpose. For example, I am deliberate with my morning routine. I do not move randomly.
We also discussed grounding. In this context, it means a technique to connect with the present moment and the physical environment. Grounding exercises help me combat anxiety by focusing on the physical sensations of my body.
Then there is postprandial dip. This is the medical term for the afternoon slump after eating. I avoid heavy lunches to prevent the severe postprandial dip that ruins my productivity.
Cognitive load is another crucial term. It refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in working memory. Checking email constantly increases my cognitive load unnecessarily and leads to decision fatigue.
We mentioned decision fatigue as well. This is the deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision-making. I schedule my most critical tasks for the morning to avoid the severe decision fatigue that sets in by late afternoon.
We spoke about mitigate, which means to make something less severe or unpleasant. I drink water to mitigate the dehydrating effects of coffee.
And let's not forget de-escalate. This means to reduce the intensity of a situation. I listen to calm music to de-escalate my nervous system before bed.
We also used lethargic, which means feeling lazy, sluggish, or lacking energy. A heavy carb-loaded lunch leaves me feeling lethargic and unmotivated.
Finally, ultradian rhythms. These are recurrent cycles in the body that last shorter than 24 hours. I structure my work into 90-minute blocks to align with my brain's natural ultradian rhythms.
These words are not just for describing routines, they're for describing human biology and productivity. Let's give our listeners a moment to absorb these. Now let's synthesize everything. We started with the intentional morning, moved through the strategically managed afternoon, and ended with the restorative evening. What is the overarching takeaway?
The overarching takeaway is that our routine is not a cage. It is a scaffold for freedom. When you establish automaticity for the mundane elements of your day, hygiene, breakfast, planning, you conserve your precious cognitive resources for the truly important decisions and creative work.
Precisely. The goal is not to become a robot, it's to create a system that supports your physical and psychological well-being, allowing you to show up as your best self for your goals, your relationships, and yes, for learning a complex language like English.
So, we challenge you, dear learner, pick one element of your current routine, just one, and refine it. Maybe it's hydrating before your coffee. Maybe it's stepping outside for fresh air in the afternoon. Observe how that single, deliberate adjustment alters your entire day. This is the crux of behavioral change. It's iterative and incremental.
And we're here to support you linguistically on that journey. Please feel free to write in the comments, what is the one morning habit you're going to optimize, and what is the biggest time waster you're going to eliminate from your afternoon?
Before we conclude, we want to remind you about the free PDF download for this episode. It contains the full transcript, this advanced vocabulary list, and a practical worksheet to help you design your optimal day. The link is just below in the description.
This is Caspian and Ilara, signing off. Remember, the quality of your life is largely determined by the quality of your daily habits. Build them with intention, sustain them with consistency, and you'll see your life and your English transform beautifully. Take care of your time, take care of your health, and keep investing in your mind. We'll see you in the next episode.